Let us take a look at another cultural illusion. The desire to be important. There is no reality in importance. Importance is superficial. Importance is an image. It is therefore an illusion. There are two aspects to human importance. Both these aspects are dependent on ego. If you yourself want to be important or even famous, then why? Why do you want or need to be important? Yes, there is the desire to be important, but desiring to be important is not natural in any way. Wanting to be important is not a natural desire. There is nothing natural about wanting to be important. Any desire to be important or more important than you are indicates a lack of something. What are you lacking? Are you lacking self-esteem? Do you feel disrespected? Or do you desire to be perceived differently from how people generally perceive you? What you need to understand that beneath the ego and the images we put out there about ourselves, we are still animals. We are still primate apes. We are still nature in human form. No amount of noise, language, imagery or beliefs can disguise or mask such things as emotional signaling, energy projection, or body language. So the more you try to inflate your ego, your sense of importance, and big up your image, the more you reveal your lack and insecurity to other people. The more some people will distrust and dislike you. Wanting to be more important than you are is childish and foolish. All the important people in this world have done something for people and achieved something, and most of them are dead. They are important figures in history. Most did what they did because it came naturally to them, not because they wanted to be famous or important. Many didn't become important in their lives, but were recognized as important after their deaths. People who want to be more important than they actually are generally believe that their egos are real and they have bought into the social conditioning. They have gone deep. Some go so deep that they become caricatures of themselves. They crave recognition and importance often for things that are imaginary, illusory or unnatural. Wanting to be more important than you are is part of the illusion of becoming. You are who you are. Wanting to be someone bigger or more important than you are in reality is such an ego trip. Similarly, it's a similar illusion when you perceive yourself as more important than someone else, or better, or more deserving, or more entitled. You see, difference is identity, and identity is difference. It is only your assumption that you are better or worse than someone else. It is only you that is buying into the separateness and the division between you and someone else. This is simply denial of the basic reality, in that, no matter how we identify ourselves and what labels we carry through life, we are all human beings. It doesn't matter who you are. When you die and become cremated, you produce roughly the same amount of ash as anyone else. This is the reality of who you are. But when you are in tune with your humanity, your senses, your perception, and you trust yourself completely, you have no desire to be important. When you are really in tune with your inner nature, and being who you really are naturally, without inflating your ego or any embellishment, what other people think of you isn't really that important. It's just an opinion. It floats away like an autumn leaf in the wind. Whenever you meet another person, that person is part of the actual reality you are perceiving, because they are real and they exist. Irrespective of how they identify themselves and what they think about themselves, they are another human being. To recognize this basic fact requires nothing more than perception and sense. But when you look at another person from the perspective of ego, and bypass sense and sensory perception because you're constantly clinging to a past model of reality, you make assumptions and judgments about that person. So instead of just taking someone at face value, you rush in through ego and try to label them and fit them in with all the other people you've met in your life. What needs to be understood here is that thought creates division and separateness. Thought is also based on fear and desire. So you create your own internal impression of that person, which is usually different from who they are in actual reality. So even before you've got to know that person, you are comparing their reality to your illusory mental image of them. Perception of actual reality requires sensory perception and sense. It comes before any sort of identification, either of yourself or someone else. You have to suspend judgment, identification and ego. This requires complete trust in both yourself and also your environment and other. Understand that it is the identification which creates the difference and division. But if you trust yourself and are secure in your basic humanity, why do you need to identify as anything at all? Why not just simply be? This is the trap that many people fall into. If you identify with your social role, then you identify with your ego. Yes, you may be a doctor, a scientist, a business person, an artist, a musician, or whatever, but this is just a social role, an occupation, how you get your income. It's just a role, it's a label. Likewise, if you identify with your religion, your political persuasion, a sports team, a mental health issue, a disability, a chronic illness, you're still identifying with your ego. It's who you are in a specific context. Outside of that context, you're still a human being. See, who is it who wants the recognition or recognition if it's not the ego? Your actual self or being, that part of you beyond your ego, does not seek recognition because it does not need recognition. Your physical body does not need recognition because it needs fresh air, food, water, and whatever is necessary to survive. It's only the ego that seeks recognition. Wanting to be more important, or to be seen as important, is such a foolish game. You leave yourself wide open and vulnerable to so many things. A spiritual or religious person may try to convince you that to be more important, you need to be more religious or spiritual. A politician or political party may make empty promises to you to secure your vote. Other people may also try to exploit or take advantage of you. Not everyone out there is enlightened. Many are ignorant. And if you are signaling a lack, a desire or need, those with less honorable intentions and motives will invariably prey on you. Your life will become more complicated, and you can run into all kinds of conflicts. Those who are more aware and more in tune with their being have integrity, and such people understand the ego for what it really is, just an image, a concept. Such people can see through the social game. As such people are more aligned with their perception and sense, it's much harder to exploit or fool such people. We can turn this round 180 degrees to see other aspects of the social game. Why do you see someone else as important? Why do you see someone else as less important? Is someone else somehow more of a human being than you are? Are they less of a human being than you are? Think about it. There is a very subtle difference between connection and attachment. A connection through consciousness is not a bad thing. Love is a connection through consciousness. Friendship is a connection through consciousness. Empathy is also such a connection. Affinity can also be a connection. Attachment, through thought or belief, is not a connection. You can think you love someone, you can think they love you, but you cannot think love into existence, because love arises out of being. It does not arise out of ego. You can date someone, compare egos, talk about future plans and goals, make plans together and think you have a future together because you have created attachments to each other. But this is only love in a make-believe sense. It's not real love. Real love arises out of the senses and being. Love is a sensation, not a belief. It is a manifestation of consciousness. So we come back to importance. Why do you attach importance to some people but not to others? Is this importance you attach to someone based on who they are in reality? Or is it only an attachment to your image of that person? Please keep in mind that whatever mental image you have of that person is based on your thought and your assumptions. It's just an impression of that person, it's not the person themselves. It's still your thoughts, your beliefs, your assumptions. Please keep in mind that whatever assumptions, beliefs or mental image of a person gets in the way of your actual perception of that person. It's just a mental attachment. So what you need to do is to examine why you see someone as more important than you. Does this person hold any sort of power over you? Do they make you feel afraid or anxious? Okay, so what is the source of that fear? Do they have something that you need or want? Or is this because you feel they have authority over you? So we come back to ego, because authority is not actually real. Authority is given on the basis of opinion and belief. Authority is cultural reality. This is something many people get messed up in their social thinking. Respect is a manifestation of humanity. Respect is recognition of someone's humanity. It is not something that's earned or deserved. But what is earned or deserved is authority. Major difference. Please keep in mind that the edges of ego are feelings or beliefs of superiority and inferiority. To believe that you are either superior or inferior to others is foolish. Please always remember this. Believing that you are superior to others is just as stupid as believing you are inferior to others. If you want to be liberated, enlightened, or aware, you have no time for such foolishness.